Hey guys, Joshua Zamora here. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Give me a one in the chat box if you can hear me just fine. All right, I'm waiting for Dan to join us here, and you guys are in for a great surprise because he's going to be sharing some powerful information with us. I'm going to be asking him some questions as well that I think are important to cover. And if any questions that you have, make sure that you share them and ask him as well. So uh, I'm chatting with him now. He should be getting on in the next few minutes. But hopefully, so far, you guys have enjoyed this training. Um, we've pretty much covered everything that you need to know to go out there and really start getting traffic from Google and YouTube. So now it's just up to you guys to go out there and finally take some action. So Dan is jumping on here now.
Yo,
Hey, how's it going, man?
good buddy.
Good. Then I'm trying to set up my screen so that my screen could show up. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I can hear you good, man. Did you get a new mic?
Yeah.
You sound like a studio.
That's when I'm in the studio right now.
Nice. Man, how do I share this?
Who's software webinar jam? Is that yours?
No, that is Mike Phil Same and Andy Jenkins. It's pretty
cool.
bad. It's pretty good, man. I'm liking it so far. You see the chat box and everything on the right? Just like you probably see it just like I do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. Alrighty, so I guess I can start off with just asking you a few questions, and then if anyone is on that wants to ask some questions, they can pop on. Seems like there's only a few people on as of now, but most of the other people will catch the replay. So just man, tell me what's been going on with you. I know we haven't actually really spoken a while, so I know you told me you freaking crushing it last month in your business. So kind of give us a little bit of background on that. Like what kind of numbers were you hitting last month?
Yeah. So we did. I have a partner, and we have quite a number of different things that we're doing. But we cleared 427,000 for the month in cash in the door. But we don't really, we don't run like a typical, we're launching products or something like that. So, most of our business is coming through our own means. Like I would say like 85% of it. And then we have, one or two kind of like ongoing affiliates that have blogs that we work with that send us traffic and stuff like that.
Perfect. And when you say the majority of your traffic is in-house, so you're generating leads on your own pretty much, because most people, they depend a lot on affiliates, but you guys are mostly just bringing in leads from your own sources, correct?
Yeah. So we do I'd probably say 80% of our business is generated through just straight old school SEO, just rank and bank, finding the, keywords that really hit our specific target market and dominating for them in multiple areas. That's kind of our go-to. That's what we've built our entire business on, is just, organic traffic. Obviously it's free. It just takes time to get there, which most people don't have the, I don't know. People won't generally stick with things long enough. They're so distracted. Hey, appreciate it, Mario. Yeah, my brother had some stuff going on last week, and it was pretty dicey. So I appreciate that. Yeah, he's doing better. He's actually at my house right now, kind of chilling downstairs. He can't do much moving around. So
nice. Yeah, definitely great to hear that he's doing better. There's a
question. It looks like, is it Leanne? She said, "What do we sell?" So generally, what the space that we work in is local lead generation. So we have tons and tons of local lead gen clients where we're generating leads, and we monetize those in a lot of different ways. Flat fee, pay per lead, pay per call. We have a hybrid model, an arbitrage model that we utilize. So we have kind of our local businesses that we work with. I also do consulting. So I'll consult with some media firms and try to train them And kind of get paid consulting fees. It's the same process, really. Like I tell everyone, no matter what you're going to do online, my advice to anyone listening to this to live or the replay is dial in one skill set and then go wide with it. You can take the simplest skill sets, and I've literally taken the simple stuff. Like, I'm very untechnical. Like, so half of this stuff, like, I can't get a WordPress set up. I can't do that stuff. That's just not my skill. I mean, I use drag and drop like Weebly editor. Like, that's my level. But you know what? I got really good at using the Weebly editor. And I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars just doing stuff like that for businesses that needed to have a web presence. So something as small as that is like how I focused. I just said, listen, if I can solve a problem for these businesses, even though I'm not highly technical, I can find tools online that allow us to do stuff like that. So that would be the one piece of advice that I'd give people listening here is don't overthink this stuff. Get pretty solid in one skill set and then freaking hit it hard, Yeah,
so, absolutely. And I remember when we spoke, I think about a year and a half ago, when you called me on the phone talking about all these leads you were getting using a Weebly page, and I'm like, Weebly, man, what the hell is Weebly? And I remember you showed me, and it was the simplest funnel you can ever imagine, and it was for real estate. It was the ugliest ad you can ever see, the ugliest funnel you'll ever see, but it was freaking working. It was, I think you were running Facebook traffic to it or something like that.
No, I was running Craigslist.
Oh yeah, that's why, Craigslist traffic. That's the other thing about it. It was every time I talk to Danny, he's always doing some of the craziest things but the craziest but simplest things. So I remember this. It was a simple Weebly page. I think it was just an image and an opt-in box or something like that. And he was running Craigslist traffic to it, which was insane to me. I was like, man, there's still traffic on Craigslist. And I mean, it was working well. I mean, it was crazy how simple it was. So that's definitely some great advice there. So just keep things simple and just keep going at it. And also it's amazing that you say that the majority of your business is just from old school SEO. I mean, there's not many people out there that are doing that are, that 80% of their business and their leads are just from 100% SEO. So let's talk a little bit about that. When you're setting up, is it just one site that you have that's bringing in the majority of the leads, or do you have multiple sites? Because I know there was a while that you were just going crazy in all tons of cities with videos and things like that. So
I mean, so the majority of our leads come through like 3 or 4 different blogs. And the thing about SEO is you just have to be patient. I mean, so many people want the instant. I mean, that's why videos are kind of alluring, is because you can throw a video up and pretty quickly it's there for the taking. But SEO, the reason why the weak are shaken out is because they're not willing to stick around for the long haul and see it all the way through. But if you are, and you got to obviously know what you're doing as far as the right niches and stuff like that. I think a lot of people go into the wrong niches and they go into the wrong verticals. So knowing that is important, and the way you can figure that out is by maybe sometimes testing some paid traffic strategies and stuff like that, and understanding where your target is. And then once you find it, like if you're running Facebook ads or AdWords or something like that, and you found a specific set of keywords that seem to be doing really well, your long-term play should be trying to pick up those keywords for free, trying to pick up that traffic for free. And it might take you 6, 7, 8 months. It could. But the thing is we've built this multi-million-dollar coaching business off of just identifying what words are continuing to produce leads and then putting it through our process. And so I think you can do that on a local level. You can do that, if you're going to work with local businesses. And, I don't know what everyone on this call is, everyone you can kind of give me some insight. What is most people on this call? What does everyone do?
Yeah, well, pretty much there's a mixture of things. So some people are going the affiliate marketing route, okay, and some people are going the local marketing route. So it's kind of a mixture of two.
Yeah. So, I mean, regardless, because you can really apply both strategies. You can roadmap your success pretty easily by taking, this is a good strategy for you guys. and I think I've taught you this, Josh, maybe in the past. I don't know if you've done it in a while or you remember it, but it still works. Go and grab a free $100 AdWords coupon from Google. You can go on Fiverr and snag one and pick out some keywords and run some free traffic, run Google's money. And you're going to figure out really, really quickly, do you have any winners in there? And if you find a winner, then that's where you can take your video ranking. That's where you can take maybe some of your organic rankings or what have you. Or that's where you can figure out if you can go ahead and press your paid traffic, because maybe there's an ROI there. Again, I'm not a big paid traffic guy, but I also understand that it can really help you see through the weeds of, things that you might think that I'm going to go make a video and I'm going to rank it and all blah, blah, blah. And then what if it doesn't pull? So you just spent all this time and you spent money too, because it's not free to rank stuff, even though, no matter what, there's money and time spent, and you might be in a loser. And so sometimes those paid traffic, what they can do is they can speed up the results of, and the knowledge of if this is going to be a winner or not, or should I be messing with my time in this area. So, and you can do the same thing with, if you're landing local clients, what we train is, run some free traffic with a private, with a tracking number through an AdWords coupon to, whatever business you want to get with or land, and send them some results in advance, send them some leads, help them get some customers first. And it's going to make it much easier to have a discussion on your value add to them. If you're willing to kind of prime the pump, and it's going to give you the roadmap of how you want to go after this organically from a free standpoint with organic rankings. So some basic tips that, again, they're not, if you really logically think about it, it's pretty smart. You look at like the people that run infomercials. You remember like seeing Billy Mays and those guys, and they'll take a little test market and they'll run their infomercial. And if it converts, then what do? They freaking go vertical with it, and they start hitting every market because they know their numbers at that point. So the same thing's true with what we're trying to do here online. Doesn't matter what you're selling or what you're doing. Figure out if you got a winner first and then press hard. But people are too short-sighted, or they won't take the time and effort to do that oftentimes. And so they spin their wheels for a long time. So
yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, because I've seen it happen multiple times where if, someone puts up one video or two videos and none of them rank, or none of them bring in leads or, or sales or anything like that, boom, they just shut down. Oh, this doesn't work. And they go on to, to Facebook marketing. And then when they put up one or two ads on Facebook and that doesn't work, then they go on to, something else. And then they kind of circle back around to video, and then they just continue in that same loop. So absolutely. And two very good tips there to go out there and test your traffic. And I remember when you told me that too, that you were out there snagging up these free coupons for AdWords and running a bunch of traffic to it. So great tips there, guys. And let's talk a little bit about the local, because that's very powerful there. And I always remember that when you taught me that about sending them leads first. So how exactly can someone go about doing that? Sending someone leads and making sure that the person knows, so that once they call the business owner, that they know that they've been sending them leads. How do you set all of that up?
Yeah, so we have our own phone system. I mean, we're not the only guys out there to have our own phone system, but we have a system called CallSling that does, kind of does what we need it to do, which is, we put a whisper on the front end of the call. So when we'll run, and Leanne just asked us, and hopefully I'm saying your name right. She said, do you guys do a proof of concept via paid ads and then keep it going with SEO? Exactly. So, we'll set up a tracking phone line. Let's just say we're going to go for a septic tank removal or something like that. And the only reason I'm thinking of that is because I'm having that done right now in my house. So go ahead and we would set up, again, I use Weebly because it's so darn fast and templated and mobile friendly. I'm going to go ahead and get that kind of set up, get a little page going on septic tank removal in the local marketplace. I'm going to take $100 AdWords coupon. I'm going to run $100 towards it. I'm going to put my tracking phone number on the front of that ad. When someone picks up the phone and calls, or they fill out a form on that site, it's going to send it into the business owner. And when the business owner picks up the phone, it's going to whisper in their ear, hey, you have a free referral from Dan Klein. I then get an email that lets me know that, hey, you just sent a septic tank lead over to, I just pick a company at random. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm just like, yep, I'll try them out. I don't believe you can ever, know which one's going to be your winner and not. You just got to kind of take some action and try it out. And if that you send them a couple leads, you call up, say, hey, this is Dan Klein. I've been sending you referrals. Have you been getting them? Obviously, they've been getting them because you're tracking it on your end. You can turn around and you can put a deal together with them. And then that's where you're going to follow it up with organic traffic over time. And so I think the things that people usually bring up on that is like, well, what if the organic traffic takes forever? Well, it probably will, but you can still supplement with AdWords if you land a client and they're willing to pay you once you kind of work out a deal. You can supplement with AdWords until your organic overtakes it. And the cool thing about local versus, a lot of the affiliate stuff is local is just very easy. And I'll give you an example. I own a local business up in Oregon, and it's a window tint business. And we did about $500,000 a year in sales. It's a good business, and the margins are very high. And my next competitor, who my guesstimate based on how much business we did, my guess is the guy was doing 150 to 200,000 a year, single, just a standalone little shop. It's like, this guy didn't even have a web presence. So I could literally go in there. He recently got one, but it's just that's the thing that you guys really need to, if you're going to go into local, you can go find all this low hanging fruit. Like I was looking up septic tank removal, and where I live, I'm in El Dorado Hills, California, and I'm looking at the companies that are doing this. They probably have hundreds of thousands of dollars into their equipment, and their online presence looks like it's horrible. It's dirt. And so anyway, you can find the low hanging fruit, and that's probably one of the biggest things. Everyone, I feel like, who struggles in even video ranking, local, what they do is they go target the freaking hardest stuff in the world. It's like, go think outside of the box. Stop going after, fat loss or something like that. I mean, the riches are in the niches. And when you start to think outside the box and don't think of, well, I'm going to go to a plastic surgeon or a dentist because, man, they got the most money. Yeah. And everyone else has the same idea you do. So good luck, So anyway, I would just say, like, take your time. When from a due diligence standpoint, no matter if you're going into affiliate marketing or you're going into local marketing, take your time and act like you were going to launch that business. Act like you were going to buy a business in that market. Call around, see how busy these people are. Call around as a customer. That's huge. Knowing if they're busy, knowing how many people are in the marketplace. Go get a free account on Sales Genie, 3 days. You can look up every person in the marketplace and just call them like a customer. Hey, I'm just curious. Do you do septic tank removal? Great. What are your fees? Write them down. Look who's the best price. Look who's the worst price. Do your due diligence. How busy are they? Oh, I can get out there today. Okay, but they're not that busy. Oh, I'm backed up for 2 weeks. Well, that's telling you, how busy the market is, how many leads are coming in the market. You don't need all the tools. You can just do some basic, due diligence on your own. And that's a lot of the stuff I feel like internet marketers, they step away from being actual business owners. And that's what you are. If you want to be successful in this, you got to be a business owner. You got to think on your feet. Like, man, that guy that owns that septic tank removal company, he's probably got $200,000-$400,000 in equipment. Do you think that guy did some due diligence before jumping in the market? Probably so. So why don't we do it when we jump into affiliate marketing or when we jump into local marketing? Well, because we've been led to believe, I believe, on the internet that you could just because you have the skill, you could just jump into anything and be successful. It's like, yeah, you probably could do okay, but take a few moments, think outside the box for different niches and different ideas of how to approach those niches, and then approach it as a business owner, not as an internet marketer. And you really change the way that you do business. And I think you'll be more successful because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And great advice there. And let's talk a little bit more about that, the niches, because I know you like to get into some pretty crazy niches. And that's one question that always gets asked, especially when it comes to local. What are the best niches? What are, the niches is always one of the biggest questions. So when it comes to thinking outside of the box for local niches, what are some of the ones that you've seen that have worked well for you, that someone can come on here and just kind of expand on?
Yeah, I mean, so the funny thing is this is by choice. I try to stay away from anything that's the high dollar. It's like the opposite of what everyone will teach you in local. Everyone wants to teach you in local. Go after rhinoplasty. It's like, come on, dude. I mean, okay, if you ever sat down with a plastic surgeon, first of all, their ego's so big you can't even get in the room. So that's the tough part. Their gatekeepers don't want to schedule something out till Q9 and a Q4. There's so many barriers of entry when you get into those bigger high ticket niches. Now, if you have contacts in those niches and you already have some inroads, that's a different ball game. But half of the battle of what we do online, in my opinion, if you're doing local affiliates, this has already been solved for you. But in local specifically, half the battle is just getting the client. I mean, probably 80% of the battle is just getting the client. So if you're going to do and jump into niches, I like to think, and one really good way you guys can come up with some good niches is just go over to Thumbtack and just start scrolling through. They literally have done all the work for you. I mean, this is a Google-backed company now. The Google's invested in Thumbtack. They're a local lead generation company. They just send leads out. They're kind of like a home advisor. Just go on there and start looking at the obscure niches that people are in. I mean, again, I would say that the main things that I look for are, I like phone-driven businesses. I like businesses where, and this is going to probably sound bad, but I like businesses where the business owners aren't very educated. I like to be the smartest one in the room, even if I'm not that smart. So I like the uneducated business owners. I like business owners that not everyone's thinking about. So I know that's a super vague statement, but I'm telling you, just go over to Thumbtack, start scrolling through, and you're going to start seeing stuff, and then do those due diligence steps. Start calling the businesses in that do a Google search, see the business, start calling them up, act like you're a customer, see how busy they are. Start looking at those things. The other thing I like to focus on is I like to stay in markets between 50 and 350,000. I don't go into bigger markets than that. I think it's incredibly difficult. Now, again, that's a zag. Everyone else is telling you the big markets are where you make the big money. I'm not saying that's not true. It's just not where I make my money. I don't like taking the time and effort to have to rank organically in those bigger markets. It takes a lot more time. I'd rather go into, a little small area, because I know humans are humans and they're going to buy a product or service, whether they're in a market of 50,000 or a market of 5 million. But I know that generally speaking, in the market of 50 to 350, the players in those markets aren't generally as up to speed. They don't have a marketing firm working for them or what have you. And so it's low hanging fruit. And that's where I like to play. So tips, takeaways from the niching, go on the Thumbtack, scroll through. It's going to give you so many memory jogging type businesses. I think that would be a good tip. Number 2, I like phone driven businesses. Number 3, I like to stay away from the high dollar, rhinoplasty, boob job type stuff, just because I feel like the landing of the deal is so difficult, unless you have someone that in there. And then what was my number 4? I don't remember. Anyway, I mean,
the size of the market, I think.
Oh yeah, size of the market. Yes, keep your market if you can. Stay in the low hanging fruit. I mean, I've had some of my biggest paying clients in markets of like 42,000 people. And you know what? Their money's still green. It still spends. In those markets, you can dominate them like really quickly, because they're not doing any of the stuff the guys in downtown LA are doing to just stay in business. They don't even know what that stuff is because they've had it so easy. So when you come into the market, I mean, you're the shark. Again, get into the ring. Don't jump in the ring with freaking, Ronda Rousey or a heavyweight champion. Jump into the ring with a freaking school child, and you'll beat the living crap out of them every time. So that's what I target. I don't profess to be the best. I'm just really good at making money, and I do it by trying to be smarter than the people I'm working with.
Nice. Yeah, I like that, because most people usually they preach, go to that big market, go to that big city and try to rank for, chiropractor or things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's refreshing to hear that to stick to those, smaller markets where there's only 50,000 to 300,000 people. And I'm sure it's pretty simple to find those little markets where those, you can find those numbers of how many people live in that area very easily online. So very, very, very good advice there. Now we have a couple of questions coming in. Leanne is asking, back to your AdWords coupon, are you using the prospective client AdWords free coupon? How do you get multiple coupons otherwise?
Yeah, so we just go over to Fiverr and snag them.
Yeah. There's a bunch of people on Fiverr selling them.
Yeah, you can get them on Fiverr. When you set up a Weebly account, they give you one. When you set up hosting, they give you one. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me see. Cliff is saying with SEO, so this goes back to actually the ranking process. With SEO, are you using your own PBN network?
Yeah, so we kind of subscribe to a little bit different thought process on that. My partner Brad, arguably one of the best SEOs in the world, had a site, and I only base this off of true facts because that's a pretty bold statement, but his Alexa ranking on his site, he was a top 2,500 sites in the USA for traffic about a year ago before he got a bunch of people went after him, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. We don't care. Super, super skilled. So we have a little bit different process that we go through for our, quote unquote PBNs. We don't actually even call them PBNs. We call them influence. I don't subscribe to a lot of the stuff on the web that people are doing. So we kind of have our own technique that we go about that. But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, the strategy of a network, of owning your own network or having access to influential sites linking back to you is how we're going to rank. And then probably the biggest is our content is, I mean, if you guys check out, you guys can look, I don't know, I'm not trying to plug his site by any means.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. His site's a MLM blog, network marketing blog. He used to be in that industry. I'll type it in there so you guys can check it out. But you'll kind of see what I mean by his content. He's like an excellent copywriter, blogger. I'm horrible, by the way. I flunked out of English class and barely made it into college. So I'm not a good writer, but he is. And you can check out some like his content strategies, which is a huge part. I mean, the thing I believe about SEO is because so many people are short-sighted. Obviously, the search engines are clearly trying to shake the weaklings out as often as possible. They know that they'll just go away. So if you look at like companies like Wikipedia, they've stood the test of time. They don't care about penguin or panda or whatever the other animals that keep coming up are. Dude, Wikipedia just is authoritative in their process. Wikipedia comes to the table and says, listen, we're just going to make the most authoritative content on a subject. Go Google Mike Tyson. Go Google goat cheese. What comes up? Wikipedia. Do they have their own PBN network? No. They just did a really good job at being the most authoritative on the subject. If you look at 99% of local business owners and probably 99% of affiliate marketers, lazy, kind of like my buddy's site, Lazy MLM. They're lazy. And put yourself through this test too. Are you lazy in your approach to the content? Content sucks. It's always going to suck. But if you shortcut it, if you try to go spin it, if you try to go buy it off iWriter, if you try to do all these things, it's not going to work at a high level. It just won't. It might work in the short term, but Wikipedia is not doing that. Wikipedia is not going spinning content and throwing it up on their site. Someone's writing those things in an authoritative manner. And guess what? Google loves authorities on the subject. They just love it. So if that's true, you kind of got to suck it up and you kind of got to be the most authoritative in whatever niche you're going to go into. So if you're going to go into septic tank removal in El Dorado Hills, go through your competitors who are in the marketplace and basically say, I'm going to beat them. I'm going to out content them. And yeah, it's going to suck. But when I'm done, if this thing generates me money for the next 10 years, which I have sites, I've only been doing this 7. So I have sites that have been generating me $3,000 a month plus for going on 7 years now. Like that annoyance of putting that work in up front. Yeah, it sucked. But the $200,000 of fees I've collected for that work of about 15 hours or so, that doesn't suck. I'm getting paid very well per hour. And so I think that's an approach that most quote unquote internet marketers, they're too short-sighted. They're not true business owners in many senses. And they can't see past next week because they're usually so broke. that they can't get past it. And so those are some tips as far as like how we approach our SEO process. And we rank, I mean, we rank for some stupid cutthroat terms. I mean, just ridiculous on a global level. So we use the same process. We practice what we preach, not only for our local clients, where local is pretty darn easy, but on a global level, when you start generating leads on a global level, I mean, it's the same process. And like, if you check out his site, you'll see what I mean. Like, it's just simple, it's clean. It's not like everything else you've ever seen, and that works as well. So
nice. So it's really refreshing to hear that it's simple, man. It just goes back to good old SEO with great content, at the forefront. And yeah, I know I hate content as well. I mean, writing my own content and all that stuff it's definitely time consuming. But either way, sometimes I got to get there and I got to do it, or I pay my content writer to write it for me. And that's a good thing too. If you guys ever find a really good content writer, make sure you hold on to them.
My suggestion on that, because I think don't find a content writer that is from the internet marketing space or like is in the content selling services where they're selling content. They're going to screw you every time, my opinion. Don't go to iWriter, don't go to Elance. These people are trained to cut corners. Okay. My suggestion, go on Facebook, go look who just had a baby, who has a college degree, and it's a stay-at-home mom, and use them. Pay them $10 an hour. Don't pay them by the word and all that junk. Pay them $10 an hour and if you don't want to do it yourself, if you have more money than time, or you're just not good at it like I am, find someone that doesn't know the space and get them to work for you, or go to your local college and hire someone that's in the journalism department that wants to have a good reference when they get out. Those have been my best writers, not the e-lancers that do content for a living, because guess what? They know how to go and find content, and your content ain't going to be legit. My opinion.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because my content writer, she's a ex parole officer. But she's now, a mom of two, stay at home mom. So yeah, she's not from the IM space. I forgot how I found her. I think I used to work for two local SEO companies in Miami. So she was the content writer for those two companies. So when I quit, I'm like, hey, I still had her on Skype. So then I started using her. But yeah, man, it's funny you say that. Stay at home mom with two kids, and she was more than happy to be paid. And it's funny because I pay her $10 an hour for writing content. So you described exactly, and she writes some of the best, most researched, unique content ever, and
authoritative.
Yeah, authoritative content. And I can tell her to write 500 words, and I can tell her to write 2,000 words. No matter what I tell her, it'll be the best, most researched content out there. And on any niche too. She's got time in her hands. Yeah, she's got two kids, but she finds the time to sit there and actually research topics that I have no idea about. But when I get it back, when I read it, it's like, man, I learned stuff from the content that she sends me. So yeah, that's some great tip on finding some good content writers. And yeah, I mean, I used to use iWriter too, and it's just like you said. I mean, sometimes you have to go back and forth with the writers because you find some mistakes and things like that. So at the end of the day, you might get the content cheaper, but it's going to cost you a lot more in time and revisions and things like that.
For sure. 100%.
So Mario's got a question. Dan, if you can talk about your SEO method, what do you recommend us besides to become an expert and deliver value? How can we rank using PBNs?
Well, authoritative content.
Yeah, Mario. It seems like Mario's trying to go back to avoiding what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Let's just be honest. It's grunt work. So it's authoritative content. Wikipedia. Always remember Wikipedia. They rank for everything. So model them. Model Wikipedia. If you have content and then you got some influential links coming in, you're going to rank. Now, are you going to rank for fat loss? No, probably not. Not right away. Are you gonna rank for, if you do your due diligence? I don't know what you're specifically going after, but at the end of the day, it's the same process every time. There's no, and I know you're a software guy. I'm a minimalist in a lot of senses. in my opinion, there's not a plugin that can replace content. There's not a widget that can replace authoritative content. Can those things be additives? Sure, I don't use any of them, of course, but simple Wikipedia. They're your benchmark. Look at what they do. Model the best. Model the ones that have stood the test of time. That's your roadmap. They rank for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just spend some time on there, they're one of the kings of interlinking, man. You can spend hours on Wikipedia because you start reading on one subject and then they link to something, and us as humans, we can't avoid. And when there's a link that we have to click on it and find out more about whatever they're linking to, and then you go to that Wikipedia page and they got more links to other stuff, and you just end up spending 2-3 hours on Wikipedia learning about something that you didn't even begin to want to learn about, just because they got so much good content, so much good interlinks in there to other content. So great advice there to just model what's actually working. And it's true, man. It's very rare that you Google something and Wikipedia is not the first one that shows up. Yeah,
they're somewhere on page one, and for most 1-word or 2-word searches, which are obviously your toughest. So. And you don't hear Wikipedia worrying about panda and penguin. No, because they're not doing anything. They're doing exactly what the search engines want. The thing about that is what the search engines want is what every marketer doesn't want to do, which is work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're all lazy, and so what I always tell people: listen, if you know you're lazy and you know you're not going to do it, then freaking pay someone. The amount of money and time people spend on webinars and buying software and all this stuff, if they just took some of that money and said, okay, I'm going to go pay, Susie or Johnny to do this for me because I know I'm not going to do it, man, how far they would get ahead. But it's more alluring to buy the next shiny object that's coming down the pike, And so you got to snap yourself out of that a little bit and just get down to freaking digging ditches. Digital ditches is what we call it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I spent the first, I think, 10 months of my quote unquote internet marketing career going through that, buying the products, buying all the trainings, buying all this stuff. And it wasn't until I told myself, all right, I'm done. I got to stop buying this stuff and actually start doing stuff. Yeah. And it's crazy how that works. But once you make that decision, that's what starts happening. Because once I made that decision 10 months into, shiny object syndrome, yep. I finally started taking action. Things finally started working. I started getting leads. I started getting sales. And it's funny how that works. But once you make that decision in your mind to actually start putting stuff into action, things actually start to work. Because sometimes I think that by buying softwares and buying training programs and going through that, we kind of convince ourselves that that's actually taking action and putting in work.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, you have to kind of step away from that.
At some point, the rubber's got to hit the road, right? And I see this every day. I mean, I have close to 1,000 people in our coaching program right now, all over the world, man. And it's amazing to see people will get so caught up in the training instead of the doing. And that's because that's where it's comfortable to train. I mean, think about it. It's comfortable to sit in front of your computer and watch a video and learn new cool shit. It just is. So if that's where the comfort is, guess what? The comfort ain't where the money is. And, and I think the biggest thing that I have shifted in my business is every day I wake up, I'm on the phone. I'm an internet marketer, but I'm on the phone from 8:30 a.m. until 6 every day. And if I'm not bringing in 20 to 30 grand a day, I ain't happy.
Nice. Yeah. And that's one thing too, the phone, when it comes to local, if you're not hitting the phone, you're probably going to be a few steps behind the person that is hitting the phones.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit. I want to touch a little bit about the keywords because someone talked about ranking quickly without having to do, all that stuff that we just recommended you do. But one of the things that I like doing is going like Dan, I like going after the low hanging fruit as well. So my recommendation is to start targeting the longer tail keywords. Because that's the low hanging fruit. That's what's going to rank fast. That's what's going to take less effort to rank for. And then what you're going to notice is that once you start ranking for those longer tail keywords, your site is going to start building authority, because Google's going to start ranking you. You're going to start getting traffic. Google's going to start seeing that, and you're going to start getting more authority to your site. And then that's when you're going to start seeing your website just starting to rank for other similar searches just organically without you even targeting those keywords. And that's when you keep an eye on your Google Analytics and you start seeing where that traffic is coming from. And then you can start kind of modifying your strategy to match what Google's sending you traffic for. Because once you look in Google Analytics, you're going to see, oh, you're ranking for this keyword. You're not even targeting that keyword, but maybe it's sending you, 20, 50, 100 hits to your website a week. Maybe if you start targeting that keyword a little bit more aggressively, then you can start moving up higher in the search engines and start getting more traffic for that keyword. So it's amazing how much information Google is actually willing to give you to help you to rank for more keywords, and then over time you're just going to start ranking a lot easier because your website starts building up that authority.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about that is, when you write a 4,000 word post or page on a site, you're going to pick up, let's say you're going for a specific maybe your main word you're going for is whatever. It's, maybe that's the pipe dream that you want to get to over time. It's going to take some more time. But when you write that many words on a page and you have that many, you don't want to stuff it up and stuff like that, but just synonyms and just changing up the way that you say those words that might get searched. Some really, really easy ways to go about that. I know I'll actually tell you that there's a tool. It's free. I'm all about free tools that you literally can just, it will give you all the Google suggestions that fit that same kind of criteria. And if your content is super authoritative and you kind of interlace those different variations of the subject, you're going to start picking up the weird super long tail stuff that you weren't even trying to pick up in the first place. And we get so much traffic from people searching, who's the top blah 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 on a Thursday. I mean, like the weirdest searches you could think of, but it's because that page is just doused with content and it's going to pick it up. I mean, everyone searches so differently. It's not just one way or one keyword. We get so hyper focused on, well, I'm not ranking. You're not ranking for what? You're not ranking for the one keyword that might be the most difficult. What about all the other hundreds of things you are ranking for because you spent the time that your competitors weren't willing to spend to put authoritative content on the page, make sure you had variations and different synonyms and explanations. I mean, that's where many people, they don't really understand it, is those are all entry points to your sites or to your projects that are going to collect leads for whatever project or thing you're trying to sell. So
yeah, absolutely. And one of the things, going back to those people that want to target those ultra competitive terms, last week I was speaking to a client and he was saying that he wasn't ranking using our service, and I was like, okay, what keyword are you targeting? And he was literally targeting attorney, and city. Not even what kind of attorney. He was just attorney and the city he was in. And I was like, I had to sit down and talk to him. Man, you're not, number one, you're targeting a 2 keyword phrase for your city. Number 2 is not even targeted because you don't know what kind of attorney you're trying to rank for. It's just attorney and the city. So, going back to what you were saying before is, get in there and think outside the box, look for those good niches, and also, those low-hanging fruit keywords that'll help you rank faster.
Yeah, I just typed it. It's like Uber Suggest.
Yeah, ubersuggest.org. I think I mentioned it as well in session 1.
Okay, cool.
Ubersuggest.org. Also, another good one is keywordtool.io.
Yeah, that's a good one. Neil Patel was talking about those in his post. So they're kind of new to me. What I used to do before I found these. I'm a little bit, I'm pretty scrappy when it comes to spending money on stuff. I just Google whatever keyword I wanted, and I'd scroll down to the bottom of the page and I'd look at all the ones that Google was suggesting to me, and I'd start, grabbing those up. Again, I don't even use a keyword tool. If someone was asking what keyword tool do you like using, I don't use one. I think in local, because I'm a local guy, that's my main go-to. I think local is the rule. It's like an 80-20 rule. 80% of the searches, you know what they are right off the bat. If you're targeting carpet cleaners, there's only so many ways you can say carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, carpet cleaners, carpet cleaning. Those are the main words that are driving the majority of the traffic, 80% of it at least. And then the content that you fill in on those pages is going to pick up, the other variations. But in local, from all the years of doing it, I don't believe Google's telling the real truth anyway. And most of the tools are using Google as their backbone and API to pull in the data. And I think most of it, based on what I've seen, is flawed. So I train everyone not to use tools as far as keyword tools personally. That's just my preference though. And again, I take really hard stances on things, and I'm not saying I'm always correct. It just works for me. So, I mean, I'm not telling you guys if you guys have a keyword tool or you guys use one that it's bad. I'm just saying for me to become a millionaire, I haven't had to use them. So it's just been, I try to keep things, I feel like it's just noise. Everything, there's so much noise going on. At the end of the day, guys, only thing that needs to happen is a sale needs to be made. And if you're afraid of sales, then you're in the wrong business, because you got to be able to make a sale some way. If it's through your copy and you're a great copywriter and you're moving, like my business partner is terrified of the phone, doesn't want to talk to anyone. That's cool. He uses his copywriting skills to do it. So you gotta get good at that. If you're not afraid of getting in front of people and talking to people, then there's that. But at the end of the day, all this junk online doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you find someone that is willing to pay you for what you know how to do. And most of you guys probably know more than me when it comes to like a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing. You guys probably have, or we're at similar levels. I don't go real deep. I don't need to, because most of the business owners that I'm working with, like I said, I like to find the ones that are not highly educated. I don't want to compete against national firms or big media firms in the marketplace where they're doing all this ongoing work and stuff. I want to just go and scoop up, I mean, my goal is $750 a month per client. That's the number that I want to hit. And I know that 12 clients is going to make me $100,000 a year. 12, that's 13.3. But you know what I'm saying? Like if you have to figure out if money is what you guys are, obviously you're not going through internet marketing just for the fun of it. Money's why you're here. Let's roadmap it. If the goal is 100K, which is totally doable, and you need 13 clients paying you $750, then what are we doing every day to get 13 clients? What are we doing this month? Did you actually do anything specifically today to get any more clients? And generally, where the lack of knowledge or the lack of work ethic exists is in prospecting, is that you're not willing to go through the pain, because it's painful. You're not willing to go through the pain of prospecting at a high level. And that's why your internet business suffers. Once you can move outside of that comfort zone of getting into more prospecting on whichever way you want to do it, there's lots of different ways, and I can talk about those. But once you get past that and you just commit every day to stop worrying about all the rankings and PBNs and blah, 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 none of that crap matters if you don't have freaking clients. I suggest figuring that stuff out once you have the client. You probably know enough right now, or I guarantee you know more than the client. So that's the main first thing. And then after that, you got to make sure you go out and get clients, and then you can get smarter as necessary if you have a client that's tough and it's not moving or it's not working. But the key is you got to be getting to that end goal of how many clients you need and what are you doing every day to get there. And that's where usually people fail. And that's usually where people give up. And most people that have not been business owners are going to give up 10 times faster than someone that has been and owned a business. And so anyway, I don't know if you want me to drill down on anything on that, but
no, that's definitely some great advice. And one thing that you mentioned there that I think is important to touch on is that most of the people on here know more than the client. I think that statement right there is very important, because I think that's one thing that might keep someone away or scared of picking up the phone and calling that potential client, or going to see that potential client, thinking that you might say something wrong, or thinking that they know more than you. But at the end of the day, you'd be surprised how little some of these businesses know about the internet. Even when it comes, even with quote unquote smart people like attorneys and doctors, which might be a little bit more intimidating to talk to. They might know a term here or there about SEO and about the internet, but they don't sit down, with an SEO person and learn about their business. All they care about is getting clients. So yeah, don't be intimidated thinking that they know more than you, or you might say something wrong, because at the end of the day, they know very little about what we do online. They might try and intimidate you and say a few words here and there, thinking that they know more than you. But at the end of the day, every client that I used to speak to when I was doing a lot of local stuff, they barely knew anything. They knew the tip of the iceberg of what was actually going on.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is let's say you run into freaking, Mark Zuckerberg or someone who's way smarter than you, chalk it up as a loss. I mean, okay, yeah, you win. You're smarter. Okay, moving on. I mean, who cares? I have no emotion attached to this stuff. Like, I want to find the people that I'm smarter than, and then I want to be able to work with them and provide an awesome service, help them generate leads, and great. And if we're going to get into a what measuring contest, I mean, that deal's never going down anyway. And you just chalk it up and you move the heck on. The number one thing that you guys need to understand, it's very, very simple. It's incredibly easy to sell businesses if you deliver results in advance. If you send in business to them first, if you send them referrals first, okay, and you help them make some money first, then the prospecting every day, it's very simple. You're not just randomly picking people out of a phone book or off of, wherever and just calling them up. I mean, you've literally sent them business in advance. And the fastest and most efficient way to do this is run an AdWords coupon. Use Google's money to prime the pump. Get some phone calls coming into the business. Let them know that they came from you. Follow up and say, hey, how did it work out? Would you like to work with me more? Obviously, the TV, the radio, the newspaper, and all the other companies out there aren't willing to do what I am. I'm hungry. I want to work with you. I know how I can blow this business up. Let's do something. Let's roll. Okay. But you've already proven that you can deliver. So that's where people really fail, is they say, well, what if I get this client and what if I can't, and it's just what if, so they never do anything. So let's see here. There's a couple questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So Leanne is asking, are you working in your physical area only? Local business has been a bit more complicated for me because I am on the wrong side of the big pond. In my country, we are still 3 years behind even offering leads.
Are you in Australia, Leanne?
I think she is, if I remember correctly.
I have people absolutely destroying it in Australia. So you're not on the wrong side. You're on the right side. I actually like working. In fact, I've landed clients in Australia as well, using some strategies with Fiverr. We've talked about that in the past on landing clients, but there's no wrong side of the pond. If there's internet and there's humans are pattern driven. So I imagine that's where you're at. But I work anywhere. Have clients all over the world. It doesn't matter to me. Oh, you're in France. I don't know France. But I mean, humans, it doesn't, I mean, France, it's going to be the same. They use the internet to find local businesses, and local businesses are listed, and it's the same process. I have people all over the world. No place is the wrong place unless it's like a third world country. That's the only thing you're going to have problems with.
There's no internet.
Yeah, there's no internet.
Yeah. So Mario is asking, so you go first and find the customer, then start selling the leads.
So yeah, so my whole thing is results in advance, right? I want to deliver results to these business owners up front. I want to differentiate myself than the other 17 people that called them today and said, I can get you ranked on the first page of Google. Click. I want to say, hey, did you get the referral I sent you? That to me, that's I don't care if you freaking get a piece of paper, go down to the grocery store, put a tracking phone number and clip it up on the little grocery store board. And it says house cleaning, call this number. And if the phone rings, guess what? That house cleaner's happy. So we get so honed in on, it's, internet or this or that. It doesn't matter. Leads are what business owners want. Do you think a business owner cares about being on radio? No, they care about the leads that are generated from it. They care about the internet? Nope. They care about the leads that are generated from it. I don't care if they're very behind in internet education or up to speed. It doesn't matter. All that matters is their phone rings. And if you can deliver results in advance to a business owner and you can help them make money first before pitching them on why they should be paying you like everyone else who's not willing to do the hard work up front, you will differentiate yourself in the marketplace and you will be something to them that they've never seen. All they're used to is the guys and gals calling them up every day, pitching to buy right now for $597, or the radio guy saying, hey, it's a $2,000 campaign, or the TV guy that's like $5,000, let's get this TV. No, never once the TV guy come in and say, hey, let me run some ads for you on the TV and let's see if it gets some results. And if it does, then we could talk about working together. That happened all of never. So if you can differentiate yourself by sending them business up front, and again, AdWords gets you there today. You can run AdWords today and get them, priming the pump. You're awesome. You're good. You've done what no one else is willing to do. And yeah, it took you a little time and effort and setup, but guess what? You're going to be the one that they want to talk to because no one else was willing to go through what you did to get the phone ringing for him. I had a guy in our group yesterday wrote in, he sent 6 calls to a tow truck driver. I should post the text message. It's a little vulgar, but the tow truck driver's freaking out. He's so excited. And it's like, okay, now he's got a client for life. Now he's just got to do is come behind and continue delivering. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I remember you mentioned that to me years ago. And one of the most genius strategies out there, because like you said, you're delivering value first. And something like that story where you send 6 calls to a tow truck guy. I mean, that's insane. I mean, that not only is he going to love you forever, but he's going to tell every single truck driver that he knows, hey, I just got a ton of freaking calls from this guy. He's going to tell his family members. He's going to tell everyone. And that can just,
I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, I don't know if he'll tell any more tow truck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He'll tell other people.
Example, but he'll tell a bunch of people.
Yeah. I mean, so much of my business now with my local clients is just referral based. I built a good baseline of clients, helped them out immensely. And then anytime someone asks that, who does blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm their guy. Again, though, I think the biggest thing that I can kind of put in front of you guys is results in advance is what's going to help you guys succeed at a much more rapid clip. And number 2, you want to make sure to start owning these properties yourself, because you can only do SEO so long and then someone's going to cut you loose and then you're starting over and you're just a mule. Okay. You need to become a magician. You need to have your one go-to magic trick that you just do over and over and over and fill that Las Vegas hotel up and get paid millions of dollars. And what I mean by that is you need to start developing virtual real estate. That's your magic trick. And knowing that, look, if I'm going to go into, Roseburg, Oregon for septic tank, I don't know, whatever. I'm just coming up with a strategy. Instead of me just being a service provider for those companies, I want to build some properties online, video, web pages, that type of thing. I want to dominate and take up virtual real estate. I think there's a virtual real estate boom going to happen or happening right now. I know I'm taking part in it, and I'm building real estate in local markets, in markets that are evergreen. Okay. Many of the affiliate marketing things out there, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on it, but they're not evergreen. They're not going to stand the test of time. You will make money at them if you get them ranking, and it's very, very much a more comfortable area to play ball. But and I know that a roofer is going to be around from now until the end of time. There's roofs over every home in the world. So roofers are in need. So it's like if you play in evergreen markets that are going to be here for the test of time, why wouldn't you own property knowing that consumers are going to buy? All you're trying to do is get your hand in and take a sliver of the action. So, my strategy is very simple. It's like I want to go into these marketplaces. I want to obviously analyze the market, make sure there's some low-hanging fruit there. I want to then go and solidify myself as the top player, the most authoritative player in the marketplace with my properties, with my tracking phone numbers. So then when I send them into a business owner, I'm not beholden to them on if they want to stop paying me. If they want to stop paying me, cool. I'm going to go find a new tenant to put into my piece of property I developed. And so all of the work I put in 6-7 years ago in building properties, I still own all that stuff. I didn't just go do it for someone else. Now, I'm not saying you can't do service work. I definitely have service-based clients. Just know that owning your property, it's the difference between owning and renting. You're just, that you're renting. You're the tenant. And at the time the business owner wants to kick you out of their property that you've been working on, they can. When you own the properties and you own everything, and they're your videos, your web pages, your phone number, you're the boss. And you know, I just did an interview with one of my top students. He's over 30K a month. Great guy. And we were talking about one of his projects, and he's like, listen, I put this project up over a year ago and I could not find a client to work with. And he's like, I held on to it. And then boom, last week, and this guy signs a $12,000 contract, $1,000 a month, just to get the phone calls from this. So, you know, it's one of those things is you got to have the vision. You got to have the ability to stick in it. And you got to be, I'm looking at a real estate development that's happening right below my home. It's like, man, the guy that owned this property has owned this stuff and he's been squatting on it for years. And now he's putting in millions of dollars to develop out this huge property. Are all those houses going to sell up front? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact of the matter is they'll sell in some time. Humans are humans. They're going to buy homes and they will move into that over a certain amount of time. We have a very unique opportunity with the internet. Our barrier of entry to be online is basically nothing in the real business world. I mean, it's nothing, you know, maybe 50, $100. And I'm probably talking on the high side to go out there and build properties online. Don't be short-sighted. Don't be someone that's a victim. If one project, I mean, I got hundreds of projects that I haven't landed deals with yet, but that's fine. I still own the properties and I'll find a tenant. I will find a tenant at some point, but I also got hundreds of deals and properties that I'm getting rent on, you know, I'm getting paid for. And so my whole thing is like, I just want to be, I want to own as much virtual property as possible and let the chips fall where they may. I know that where they're going to fall. I know my numbers. And so that would be what I would kind of encourage you guys to be, you know, make sure you guys are focusing on that. I mean, think about this, guys. The largest taxi company in the world right now is Uber, and they own no taxi cabs. I mean, what did they do? They built a piece of property on a smartphone. They connect consumers with the business owners, and they take a sliver to deliver, a big sliver, 20%. I mean, we're in an interesting time and space right now where I believe those of us that are willing to put the time and effort into this and build out properties with the foresight of I'm going into industries that are evergreen in nature, that when I build it today, it's going to be here in 10 years from now, so that I have a long-term goal for this thing. I feel like we can make unlimited amounts of money just rinsing and repeating a good model. So there's some more questions that have popped up.
Yeah, that's some great advice there. And also I want to just touch on something really quick, that once you own the properties and say a client stops paying you or a client stops wanting to work with you, you can easily just turn the faucet on to another client and bring someone in right away, instead of having to go out and find a new client and build something up from the ground up with their properties, because you already have it built in. You could just switch the number to another client and fill that profit pipeline right back up.
Yep.
So Leanne is saying that that in France the internet education is very behind. Well, to me that sounds like a big opportunity, not like a setback, because why can't you be the expert in internet education for your area? You can be that go-to person that knows what's going on in the internet and educate the local businesses on what's going on and get them as a client. That spells like a huge opportunity for me. I'm not sure what you think, Dan, but to me that sounds like.
I think what she's saying is like the business owners are going to be behind, so they don't really see the value in it. Is that what you're saying, Leanne?
Yeah, but either way, if the business owners are behind, I mean, I guess maybe there's such a brick and mortar business that they don't care to be online, maybe. But you can educate them and be that person that.
I think this goes to the point. I think that's what she meant, and I think this goes to the point of I don't really care if they're behind or not. They know what a ringing phone is. They absolutely know what a ringing phone is. And whether you posted a billboard in downtown France, or you posted it up in a supermarket, or you freaking took a plane up into the sky and skywrited the phone number in that they're going to call, they know what a ringing phone is. That's every business knows what that is. So they don't need to be in the know. They don't even need to know where your calls come from. It doesn't matter. whatsoever. What matters is that you're connecting them with paying customers. So whether they come through the most technologically advanced way and those people are buying from them, or they come through the postcard or the business card that you tacked up at a supermarket, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. That's what people get focused on. And I'm trying to tell you, as a local business owner myself, if you make my phone ring, I don't care how you do it, you're getting paid. Bottom line, because you're bringing me business. That's what I'm there for. You know, that's why we're in business. Is I want my phone ringing so we can take care of them. So don't worry about that. Don't get caught up on that. That doesn't matter.
I love that, because now I love what you said, that they don't even need to know where the calls are coming from, because at that point you can just step into them and talk to them. Hey, you know, I'm just going to bring you more sales. I'm going to bring you more leads. You don't even need to tell them anything else besides that. And then, you know, you tell them that, and you can just, like you said, deliver leads up front. And once they get a little bit of taste of what you can do for them, regardless of where the sales are coming from, they're gonna definitely want to talk more about with you, because you're sending them those phone calls in advance. And it's amazing, because at least in Miami, if you guys in Miami, well, one thing that I've noticed is that many of the business in the area that I live, there's easily about 5 mattress companies within 2-mile radius. They're just pop up left and right, and their only source of marketing is to put a big old sign in the front of their windows. You know, that's all they do. I mean, they put their mattress, all their new furniture outside of the building, you know, to showcase it, and then a big sign. Every single one of them does that. You know, imagine if you can step in there and tell them, hey, you know, I can bring you some more leads. I can bring you some more marketing, you know, traffic into your business. Because most business owners out there, truth of the matter is, they don't do much marketing. You know, they think that just putting a sign in the front of their business is going to just flood their doors with traffic. And, you know, that's not going to happen. That's why, you know, 90% of businesses fail, because they're not willing to put the money into the marketing. And you can be that person that comes in and starts delivering that for them. So,
yeah. And you know, like for me, like I don't personally like brick and mortar like locations, because I feel like they can bypass me. So like the mattress store, it wouldn't be like a first pick for me. Just simply because it is a physical location. I like phone-driven businesses. That's where my sweet spot is. I'm not saying you can't work with that mattress store, but most likely you're going to work with them more on a service level, more than where you're owning the property level. So there's some differentiators there. You know, do I have brick and mortars? For sure, I have brick and mortars, but most of them I'm getting paid a monthly service fee to service their property. And because of the nature of that type of business, I bought a mattress on Sunday, so I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, I literally Googled it and I drove down to the like where they were all located, and I just started walking into stores. So again, you would have been bypassed. Your phone call would probably not have happened, because people want to just drive down. They want to go lay on a mattress. They don't necessarily want to call and talk about one. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
make sure you guys know that there's sometimes a fine line in the type of business and niche and industry you go into, on which model of how you're going to approach them is going to work better than the other. And based on my experience, and I'm sure yours as well, Josh, it works better on the brick and mortar to work with them on a service base, where you're getting a guaranteed flat fee to do X, Y, Z. Just know though, that's the difference between renting and owning.
Yeah.
When I say it's phone driven, I just mean businesses that you can't show up to. So service businesses would be that. But there's other businesses that are more phone driven, that aren't just service businesses. But yeah, service businesses, there's huge amounts. And someone asked, what was the name of the niche memory jogger? It's called Thumbtack. I don't know if it's all over the world. I know it's in the US. You can check it out. But another couple are, these are service ones, porch.com. Thumbtack is great though. I'll tell you a little trick on that. And then what's the other one? Home Advisor is the old school one. It used to be Service Magic. You can come up with tons of different ideas there. So anyway.
Perfect. And Leanne is asking, okay, so what I do not do is having a bucket niche site. This is the take home to bypass this. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Leanne. If you can rephrase that. The other question you posted. So when you say phone driven, you mean service business. He means, well, you can explain it, but I think it's just businesses that the majority of their business comes from phone calls. You know, that people have to call them to get that sale done.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Just so you can't get bypassed, you know?
Yeah. Perfect. And because when the good thing is that when that phone rings and you're sending them that phone call, you're tracking all of that.
For
So
sure.
that's what it means. But you're not going to get bypassed because you have all of that tracked.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you may find that one client that bypasses you regardless. But once you find out, you just, you know, kick them to the curb and stuff.
Yeah, I don't even really worry about it. Honestly, I have so many phone calls going. If I get shaken on a deal or they, whatever, I'm not gonna. It's like that's the in my opinion, that mindset. You got to go into this thing going, look, I'm taking slivers of people's businesses, and I don't have to have any of the capital expenditure that they did. A lot of these business owners put hundreds of thousands of dollars up to be in business. They didn't break even till year 2.5. If I lose a deal here or there, is it the end of the world? No, man. I'm not trying to get rich on one niche. I'm trying to make a lot of money in a lot of different niches. That's it. And I'm going to just stack niches, stock verticals over and over and over again, and to the point where I got enough income streams to suffice what I'm trying to do in life.
Perfect. So let's talk a little bit. We're going in on about an hour and a half now. So I want to touch about one more thing, and then we can kind of wrap things up. Let's talk about the actual sales the closing process, because you mentioned $750 per client.
Yeah.
But what about those companies where it's you're renting to them or you're sending them phone calls? How do you structure that payment process so that you make sure you're getting paid, what you're charging them, and all of that stuff?
Yeah. So for me, I use an escalation process is what I call it. Sorry, I was reading what Leanne wrote. I use an escalation process. So I start out in a risk reversal type of mentality. So step 1, I'm going to send leads, results in advance, build some trust and desire. Step 2, I'm going to make that phone call, and I'm going to talk to them, and I'm going to gauge their interest level. If I have someone that's like the tow truck driver who's texting our guy back saying, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life," I'm going for what I want, because I got a guy, I've got my attention, I've got interest right now. So I know that I got a hot one on. I'm going to go for a flat fee type of a close. And that's just based off experience. So I'd say, listen, based on what I'm seeing, in order for you to work with me ongoing and to continue getting leads, every day is going to be different. This is what this is going to cost. And I would offer that to that tow truck driver because I know he's in a position of being very hot to trot. If he then, or she, whoever it is, refuses, I need to talk to my wife. Number one, guys, I think for any of you guys, the key of sales is knowing. It's just chess. You just know where they're going before they go there. There's only 5 objections you really can get. So just know that you're going to get one. I go into every sales call, every phone call, knowing that I'm going to get hit with one of the 5. I don't have the money. I need to talk to my spouse. I need more information. I need more time, or I don't trust you. So those are the 5 that you're going to get every time. Generally, your biggest 2 are what? Money and third party, spouse, whatever. Spouse, business partner, BS. Knowing that, so if I know I'm going in and they're going to basically tell me, this tow truck driver, let's just use him as an example. I send him the leads. I go in there. I pitch him on my price because he's pumped. Hey, this is what it costs to work with me. It's, I'm going to charge you $750 a month, and I'm just going to keep the leads flowing, and I'm going to send everything I got to you or whatever. Oh man, Dan, sounds great, but man, I just don't have the money right now. Okay. So knowing that's a objection that's coming, I'm prepared for it. So that's the first thing, is you got to get prepared in handling these things. So there's a couple different ways I can go. Number one, I can hit that objection head on. If you're in the type of business where you have a fee for something, like our coaching program as an example, we don't discount our fee. Our fee is what our fee is. So I can't just drop sell to something else. It doesn't exist. I mean, it's the same price is the same price. So I got to approach the money objection with a little bit different approach. With local business owners, you can approach this with a drop sell. Okay. So, okay, Dan, I don't have the money. Okay, cool. So I can move him to, all right, so maybe we go to a different plan. So I was giving you a flat fee so you could have all the upside. So if you got 10,000 phone calls, you're not paying me for every call. So are you more wanting to do this on a per call basis? Is that kind of what I'm hearing? So there's my drop sell. I just moved from a guaranteed flat fee. And there's a scale here. The biggest risk, think about this, put yourself in the shoes of the business owner. The biggest risk for the business owner is what? They pay you a guaranteed monthly amount and you give them no guarantee. Well, I don't know how many leads are going to come in. I mean, some days it could be 6, some days it could be 0. And at the end of the month, there's no way, I don't have a crystal ball. That's the biggest risk. That's what business owners are used to getting hit with, is that scale from everyone, TV, radio, whatever. They always get pitched the thing that's the riskiest for them, but the best for you and I. So that's where I like to play in that, because I want guaranteed repeatable income. If they don't buy that and they start objecting and you don't want to handle the objection up front and sell them into that, and you want to drop sell, you're going to drop sell to something that's a little less risky for them, a little bit more shared risk. So obviously the risk is much less if you can think about it. If they got charged for just every call you sent to them, well, then that's way less risky, because if you only sent them one call and they were getting, $10 a call, $20 a call, whatever the number was, they only paid you 10 or $20 instead of 750. So you see where the difference in risk is. So if you know how to drop sell from one to the next, and you go into every meeting understanding that, and this is just my opinion, but you want to ultimately be at a flat fee. That's just my opinion, because a flat fee tells you, if you know you have 10 clients paying you $750 a month, you know that when you start next month, you got $9,500 coming in. I think I did my math right there. I might be wrong, but you have somewhere in that $9,000 range. Okay. No, it's $9,000. So that's to me, that's where your pinnacle, that's where you want to be, is at that flat fee. And you make up what that fee is. Some people ask me, Dan, how do you come up with that number? Well, it's my business model. How does freaking T-Mobile come up with what they charge me for my phone? What's their business model? They came up with it. It's their pricing. Pricing's impossible to get right. You got to know it. Whatever you want to go with, it's got to make sense. Obviously, it can't be $10,000 a month. Make it make sense. Sell it to yourself. Be 100% bought in on why this makes so much sense to them, and then provide the value to go along with it. And your customers you're going to know really quick if you're losing every customer. You're not bringing them the value. If you're charging $3,000 a month and you're not making them $9,000, there's a problem there. So the drop sell from flat fee down to pay per call, pay per lead, and then the drop sell from there could be a hybrid. And we teach this a lot in our training. We teach a hybrid model, which is like, okay, maybe it's instead of $750 a month, it's a small flat fee, maybe $253, and a small per call per lead amount. So then it's a little bit of it's not fully. They're not fully. I mean, it's a little bit higher risk than maybe just a straight pay per call. So you got to make that decision on where you want to drop from your main. And then the last thing is, of course, a shared risk that basically it's a commission. And every deal that they sell, here's a commission. So this sucks, let me tell you, but it's the 100%, the least riskiest thing about this. Think about that scale I was talking about. The least riskiest thing you can do is what? You can be at a flat fee for you. The most riskiest thing you can do is you only get paid when a sale is made. Because you could put in all this work, and what if the business owner sucks at closing on the phone? So they're getting all these leads for you. They're not paying per lead. They're only paying when they close. And then you got to follow up and you got to make sure that the deals happened. So that's the worst case scenario for you guys, is a commission. Also, just so we all are clear, it's the easiest to sell because it's 100% risk reversal. There's no risk on the business owner when they're only paying you on money they earn from your leads. And then the best case scenario, guys, is flat fee. Everything in between there, pay per call, pay per lead, hybrid, arbitrage, all those other strategies you can use. Those are your drop sells when you're trying to close someone. So think about this. If you go into a gunfight with one bullet, which is, let's say, flat fee, and you shoot that bullet, you're done. Go into a gunfight fully loaded. 5 bullets. I want you having 4 or 5 bullets of stuff that you can shoot at this business owner. Sooner or later, you're going to close them on one of those shots. One's going to vibe with their risk tolerance level. Once you have that, then what you're going to do is you're going to need to, if they went all the way down to the lowest level, which is a commission, highest risk for you, right? Lowest risk for them. Your job is to then pre-frame them and say, look, I'm not going to do this forever. I don't have the time, nor do I want to spend the time tracking every person. And I know you don't want to either, sir or ma'am. But what we're going to do is in 30 days, we're going to recap, and me and you are going to go through all the business that I brought you and all the phone calls I brought you. And we're going to move to one of those other models that I talked about, maybe a pay per call or a hybrid or possibly a flat fee. Is that okay with you, sir, ma'am? Yes, no, boom, boom, boom. Now they know they're not going to be on this commissionable deal for the rest of their life. They know it's a way to AKA date you. You know, it's just like getting married. You're not going to bed on the first night. Well, you might, but generally those aren't the deals you want anyway. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to date, you want to wine and dine. And sometimes that trust has to be built over the next 30 days. I mean, they didn't know you from Adam before all this stuff happened. Yeah, you've delivered some results in advance. Yeah, you maybe made them a little bit of money, but every business owner has different risk tolerances. So if you know that going into these meetings, you're going to close every time. My motto is, anytime I get into any sort of negotiation or any type of business dealing, is I'm closing no matter what. Even if it's on the lower end of the scale and it's not exactly what I want, I'm not leaving a meeting without a deal of some sort. Okay. And I take that approach into every one of my meetings, and that's why I win constantly. Every day I win. Now, I'm not saying that I close every deal, but my mentality, my mindset as I go into those deals is always the same. Dan, you can either find ways to do business with people, or you can find ways to not do business with people. Always ask yourself, am I finding ways to make things happen, or am I finding ways to not make things happen? It's the difference between being an optimist and a pessimist. Go into every type of business arrangement and find a way to massage the deal. That's my advice.
Nice. That's sick. And I can't add any more to that. I mean, just go in there with multiple offers that you can fall back on to make sure you're closing a deal. And one thing that you mentioned earlier on that I kind of caught on was that, you know, the 750, you kind of know how many clients you need to make a certain amount of money by charging $750 a month. So people can do that for themselves. They can kind of work backwards, figure out what you want to make per year, and then figure out how many clients at whatever number you need to get to that number, and work backwards and find that target of whatever it is that you want. Because when you said it, you're like, man, 750, that's 12 clients, that's so-and-so per year, you know, and you knew it off the top of your head because you know your numbers and you know what you want to hit. So that's one thing that I caught from that people can use as well, is to work backwards. So, man, I think, well, let's cover one more question from the end, and then we can wrap things up. Objection to talk to third party is the same.
No. Objection to talk to third party is bullshit. Number one. Very rarely is it true. So here's how you handle it. You know, hey, Dan, sounds really, I'm the tow truck. I'm role playing with myself. So, hey, Dan, you know what, man, this sounds really awesome. I just, I need to run it by my wife, or I need to run it by my business partner. Okay. So to me, this is all about finding the real objection, because there's an underlying objection. So my response every time is exactly the same. And I've drilled this into my brain over and over and over again. If someone says it to me, I say, cool, man, awesome. Number one rule of handling objections is be agreeable. Oh, sounds awesome, man. Let me ask you a quick question, dude. What are you going to do if your wife says no? Okay. It's a perfect question every time. Here's why. There's only 3 doors they can go through. What are you going to do if your wife says no? I'm not going to do it. Okay. That's one door. I'm going to do it anyway. That's door number 2. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do it, but my wife doesn't say no. Generally, my wife won't say no. It's kind of like it's a variation. Okay, so if they go down door number 1, which was, what did I say it was? It was I'm not going to do it. Okay, what are you going to do if your wife says no? What are you going to do if your husband says no? What if you're going to do if your business partner says no? Oh, well then, you know, we're not going to do it. Okay. Oh, really? Huh. Shoot. Okay. What would you think they'd be saying no to, the product or the price? That question right there is going to give them there's only 2 things, the only 2 reasons they wouldn't buy it. They don't like your product that you're delivering to them, or they don't like the price. Well, here's the cool thing. The wife, the husband, the business partner ain't there to answer the question. So they're going to go in and they're going to answer the question for them. And guess what? Guess where who's got the real objection? Guess who's giving you their objection? They're giving you the objection right there. Well, no, she would have a problem with the price. Okay, so right now, I know that this guy's got a price. It's a price objection. He just told me straight up because his wife's not even there to defend herself. He's using her as a crutch, and he's saying it's her issue, but it's really his. And he just told you. If he says product, that means I didn't sell it well enough. Oh no, it would be the product. I'm not real sure about this lead gen stuff there, Dan. So I'm gonna identify as, do I need to go back to the sales board and go harder, or do I need to do we need to start working on the price issue and maybe going through some of those drop sells? Okay, if they go through the middle door, well, I'm gonna do it anyway, or what was it? I think, was that the middle door I told you guys? Yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. Great. Well, let's get this started right now then. You just go right back to the close. Because I'm going to do it anyway. Great. Well, then let's get this started right now then. And I do that nice. Over and over and over again, and it takes people back. But it's just like it's just BS. And then and you can just tell them like, look, man, I understand you're going to talk to your wife, but you're telling me you're going to do it anyway. And I don't got time to do another meeting. I'm busy. You're busy, man. Let's get this thing going. Let's rock and roll. Because I don't do 2 meetings.
Love it.
And then the last one is my wife never says no. It's the same thing. Cool. Then let's get started.
Nice.
Same thing. So those are my go-to. Again, I'm a trained closer. I ran a car dealership and closed for a living. Closing is nothing more than just knowing I know there's 5 objections, and I just got really good at handling each one of them. And I think this is probably one of the biggest thing internet marketers face, is that they want to run a business that's just 100% behind a computer, which is pretty sweet idea in theory. But when you need money, man, sometimes you got to get outside of your comfort zone, and deal with people and use some of these skill sets that you've picked up from Josh and their trainings and all this stuff, and get them in front of people. Talk to the third. Okay. Yeah. I thought there was another question. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm also really big on, when I get with a business owner, before I go into any sort of pitch or anything, I need to know what their ailment is. I need to know what their pain is, because if I don't find out what Mr. Tow Truck Driver what really fires him up in life, why he runs this business, what he's excited about, why he wants 6 more leads a day, what that would do for his life, how he could maybe hire a general manager and maybe take off, Thursdays and Fridays so he can be with his daughter and go to her basketball games. If I don't know that stuff early on, and I don't get that pain and put that in my memory bank for when close times comes and this guy wants to object about price, then I can't come and dig into, I'm only making a logical sale with this guy. So I'm only going to defeat this sale, or these objections with logic. Logic doesn't always work. Logic works a lot, but you got to play in the emotion realm. So if this guy's objecting to price and I don't want to come off my price, maybe I'm just like, this is what I get a lot with our coaching calls, is that, it's just price. And I have to go back into why they're here. Well, sir, for the first 20 minutes of our conversation, you told me the reason you wanted 6 more calls, 30 more calls a week, whatever that is, 120 more calls a month, is because you thought that would equal out to another $3,000 a month in income, which would allow you to hire a general manager, which would ultimately allow you to take off that time that you want to spend with little Susie and go to her basketball games. Is that not true anymore? Well, no, it's still true. Okay, fantastic. Because for a minute there, it's like we're so focused on this $750 a month, but I thought the $750 a month is what's going to allow you to do those things that you can't do right now. And as well as I do, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again in your towing business, you're going to continue to get the same results, and your daughter's going to grow up right in front of you. So is the $750 worth your daughter growing up in front of you or not? Because in my opinion, it's worth it to take some shots in life to get where you want. And shoot, over the last week, I've sent you about 25 leads and I haven't asked for $1. I did that to build some trust and desire with you so that you knew I was the right partner. And I know I can take you to the promised land, man, but I need a little bit. I need 10%. Just walk with me a little bit. I'm going to take you into the ocean. Let's go. that's it, man. It's all emotion at that point. If you can dig back in to the early part of your call or your meeting or your email, whatever, and you find what's really driving them. Money's bullshit. Like, money's really bullshit. We all put it on the pedestal. Of course, I like having it. You like having it. It helps us, allows us to do things and take care of loved ones and whatever. But like, people will logically, remember, from a logic standpoint, people will latch onto money so much, and it's just it rules them. But in reality, money all is just a tool to be able to have more time with your family, to be able to do things maybe that you want to be able to do and experience in life, to see your kids grow up. It's just a tool. And so if you can get through to the person and stop having them think so logically when you get into the close, you can sell anything in life. So that's kind of my tips on selling and stuff like that. And
it's so sick. I mean, we could spend a whole nother 3 hours just on closing and sales. But guys, I told you that when Dan is one of the best salesmen, I mentioned in the email that Dan is one of the best salesmen I've ever encountered. I mean, you guys can see why. So Dan, I mean, thanks for taking, I guess, 90 minutes out of your time to spend here with us. I mean, I think you over-delivered times 10. And I know there's some people that have been asking about how they can contact you and get, some kind of training or any kind of talk about your coaching. So if someone is interested in getting a hold of you or talking about your coaching or your training, how can they reach you?
Yeah. So if you guys, I mean, that's not why I came on the call, but if it's something you guys want to look at, our coaching program is called Job Killing, Murder Your 9 to 5. We've been doing it for about 15 months. I'll throw it in here so you guys can check it out. You can just hit me up on Facebook. The only thing I ask is, our program's not inexpensive. It's a $6,800 program. I do have some scholarships. I do have payment plans and stuff like that. If it's for you, great. If it's not, that's cool too. I definitely don't want it to be a burden for you. If it's something that you feel like you want to cover and you want to understand, I think the main thing is, our coaching program isn't, and I think you guys can gather this from me, it's not an internet marketing program. Okay. It's more or less, it's full business. I mean, yes, we're covering SEO stuff. Yes, we're covering tons of lead gen stuff, but we're covering sales on a high level. And we're on the phone with you guys twice a week doing live conference calls, answering questions. And like I said, we have about 1,000 members in the group. Worldwide, and it's a full experience, and it's there basically. Once you're in, you're always in. You get to continue to be on the calls with us weekly. You get to be in the private Facebook mastermind with us, and our job's really simple. It's just to get you successful. And if it takes me 5 weeks or it takes me 5 months, I don't really care. We're going to stick with you guys until the end, because this stuff's not that difficult. It's a matter of just when it's going to click for you. So yeah, man. I wasn't here to plug my program, but if you guys want to check it out, jobkilling.com, my partner writes all the content on there, and there's tons of funny shit you guys should check out, and a lot of good information and case studies and stuff like that you guys can take a peek at.
Nice. Cool, man. Well, definitely appreciate you coming on. Thank you guys on here for who joined us live. And thanks for coming on. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, guys. See ya.